Jehovah's passion for life. We just supported his team that be bringing them life.
It's the all-new 93.7 The Beat, H-Town's real hip-hop, and home of the Breakfast Club Sunday Conversation. You are inside of Face the Beat, the Blessed Beat Show. Marcus Sullivan sitting right here. In for Michaela Simone. Got a really good show today. I got a author. I called him a motivational speaker, and he didn't want to call it. We're going to get into that. Pierre Jeanty, how you doing this Sunday morning, man?
I am doing good. Thank you for having me.
All right, so I called you a motivational speaker, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at your bio, and I'm calling you a motivational speaker. You say you would rather be called
a relationship, then I pause on the expert.
Yeah,
I'm more of a guy who just talk about relationship and things that I've learned, and and as I'm growing and so forth. But I don't want to say I'm an expert, because you're never. It's relationship and love.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Can you really even say you're an expert?
Yeah.
Because it's just like some of the experts who are experts, theirs are falling apart. Mine's not falling apart, but I'm saying I don't want to have that title.
We're listening to the radio, and I know people, they hearing this accent. Where you from?
I am from Haiti.
You from Haiti?
Yes, Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Okay, so what brings you to the H-Town?
To the H-Town? Oh, my book signing brings me here.
Okay.
I actually live in Florida, but I am here this weekend. I have a book stop in First Colony Mall this weekend in Houston, and then I got Dallas on Sunday.
Okay. All right, so Arthur, before we even get into your books, because I heard one of them was really, really good, and then you kind of did one for us. I'm going to say it like that. But tell the people who Pierre Jeanty is from the beginning.
Pierre Jeanty is a young man who grew up in Haiti, and his mother was living here in the U.S. in Florida, and she pretty much came to the U.S. for opportunity.
Okay.
So I was living back in Haiti, and my mom actually opened the door for me to actually come into the States with my sister. And started building a life here. I went to high school in Immokalee, Florida.
Okay.
I went to school there, middle school, and throughout high school, finishing high school there, and I ran track. I was a track runner.
Okay, what event?
I actually did quite a bit, but my main focus was 800.
Okay.
Because lucky for me, I could do short and long distance.
Yeah.
So I ran the 4x1, then I ran the 2 miles. So it was a little bit different. But I ran track. Then eventually I went on to college in Maine, Brunswick, Maine, and I decided that was not the route for me, man.
Yeah.
I actually dropped out of college by the second year.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I had this crazy idea that I'm going to be like somewhat of an entrepreneur or something like that.
Yeah.
But the funny part, all I did in college was take writing classes, because obviously there's a language barrier.
Okay.
I learned English through watching cartoon, and I've been here for 18 years. So yeah, I used to watch Batman Beyond, man, and the old Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
And I would watch that after school, and between what I learned in school and mainly Batman Beyond through the way it's through a simulation, really. Right. That too, but yeah. So I went to school, and I dropped out, and I just wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I tested out. It didn't work out, but 4 years ago, I finally was able to quit my job and become a full-time writer.
Okay, so you had this passion for entrepreneurship. What was the first big idea? I'm gonna do this. What was that?
First big idea was when I started actually being an online marketer somewhat. Because what happened, I would, I was pretty big on Twitter when no one was on Twitter. Twitter was, this is like back in 2009, and no one cared.
Which sounds like years ago, but that was just like 2 days ago. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, back in 2009, I actually no one was on Twitter, but I was able to be one of the faces where even sometimes some of the things that I would post would trend on the front page of Twitter.
Right.
And now that's a big deal. But then it was a big deal too. But it was like no one really know.
Right.
But I started really doing a lot of marketing for different blogs, online marketing, and sharing things like that. And that was when I finally started generating income. I'm like, hey. Maybe I could find a way as an entrepreneur. So
online marketing.
Yeah.
What were you marketing?
Well, it all depends. What I would do is write about relationship.
Yeah.
Still writing about relationship.
Okay.
And I would find anyone who have that type of content, or whether it's a product or whatever, I would find ways to plug in through that marketing. So it's kind of like sponsorship, but to me, the whole idea of me being an author and me being this successful has a lot to do with me knowing how to market myself, because I've done it for other businesses.
All right, so You said you were tweeting and stuff, writing, blogging about relationships.
Yes, sir.
Either you've been in a lot of them, you're a player. Like, no, what makes somebody say, man, I want to write about relationships? Like, I'm sure a lot of people listening been in more than one relationship, right? And if you've been in more than one relationship, the one before that didn't end so well before, right?
Yeah.
Because when it ends well, it ends, right? But what makes
it doesn't end if it ends well.
It doesn't, and you're right.
That's right.
You're the expert, right? And you're right. So I got to think about that. You're right. But what made you say, I'm interested in talking about relationships before the books?
Well, the one thing for me is with every relationship that I've been through, I always take a break. I never go from relationship to relationship. I'd sit down. You're talking about years sometimes.
Okay.
I sit down and evaluate and see where was I wrong? Because most people don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Where was I wrong? What have I learned? What I need to apply later in the future and so forth.
Right.
So for me, it was always a learning process. And when I started writing, is because a lot of people were asking me. They were asking me about, what do you think of this? I've had some of my girlfriends who would say, "What about
somewhere
this?"
when people because nobody ever asked me. They're not asking me, right?
But what happened? If I think a lot of it, I don't know why people, and the reason I'm like considered an expert or someone who knows this and talk about this a lot is because from time to time people always been coming to me and asking me, so I get to write a lot. Not too much, not a lot of. I have experiences, obviously, but it's not all experiences. Is what I've observed and people coming to me because I've always, even now, I get hundreds of messages of people asking for my input, and it started even, and I was in high school. People were asking me because I was always somewhat of the good guy who then turned bad guy because love didn't work out. Right. But it was just like they'll just ask me stuff, and and
guys and girls, would just ask you, Give me just a random question. You don't have to say who it was or whatever, but somebody would say, Pierre,
this guy, I've been with this guy. He's been telling me this, and I feel like he's not telling the truth or whatever. And somehow I'd be like, look, back then it was as simple as, trust his action. Or I don't know if younger I was saying it like that. Yeah. I can't remember. But it was like I would get people to ask. They ask my input on anything.
And it's whatever you feel the answer to. Do you ever worry about, man, I gave this man some bad advice?
I do.
Okay.
But here's the thing is that if I don't know, I'm not saying jack.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying jack.
So you've seen a whole lot of situations.
Yeah. It's more of like if you bring it up to me, I didn't have experience with that, I'm not saying jack. Yeah. That's one thing I tell people, and even for myself, in areas that I don't know, I ask other people for advice.
Right.
I have, it's like I have one of my mentors, a spiritual mentor. When I have like issues, let's say, recently my wife and I had an issue because we have a newborn daughter.
Okay.
Finding balance as someone who's running a business and my wife is home, finding a balance of like, look, how we work it out in terms of spending time with our daughter and caring for her and nurture and all that. Right. And I didn't see how much I was putting on my wife because I've been away so much. Okay. So I asked him, and the good thing I was talking to, I was having a conversation earlier. I was saying how, like, you don't notice what you're doing wrong. Yeah. And he had to check me like, yo, this is, some areas you may work on. And look, I seek for the advice where I need to. So it's more of like, before I tell you, I'm going to listen to you. Yeah. I'm going to find, what, I think a lot of people have said that I'm wise per se. Right. I just, whatever people say is what I somewhat repeat. I don't want to give myself any super title or anything like that. Anything like that. But when I did, if I feel like I have the right answer and if I could read behaviors, and I think I observe a lot too. Right. So when I'm listening to this story, either I've seen when it comes to personal people who are coming with that I know, usually I'm looking from an angle like, I've seen you guys, interaction and things like that. But a lot of the time it's like I'm observing how you're telling me what you're telling me. And give you the best advice. But again, sometimes I would tell you, look, if I'm not 100% sure, it's like I don't know if you ever seen the Kanye a meme like I give you bad advice, it messed you up. But no, I never. If I say at the end of if I don't feel the advice is narrowed down to where it could help you make that choice, or I don't know enough to tell you what what to do, I'm just like, look, this is what I would do. Yeah. When I say what I would do, it's more of that's what I would do in that situation. So you can't say I took you down the wrong path.
Yeah. You're just tuning in. You're listening to the Face to Beat edition of Blessed Beats. Pierre Jeanty.
Yes, sir.
I'm saying that right. Relationship expert or just relationship guy giving us gems on 93.7 The Beat this morning. Now, I know a lot of people are listening, and I know you said my wife just a few seconds ago, but I know they were like, is he single? Is he, when you were doing relationship things prior to marriage, are you one up better than the person that, because you got these experiences, right? Than the person you got to be driving the relationship, because how is it dating somebody that's a relationship expert?
Well, the thing is that I did not become too much of a relationship expert until I got into a healthy relationship. I've always talked about relationship. I never presented myself as the expert or as a guy who knows a lot.
Right.
Quite enough.
Okay.
But I think over the last 4 years, when I got into, I was in one relationship, and during the time it was when I was, it was during the time when I was actually evaluating myself and things like that and learning, and I started sharing those things. And then the last 2 years I've been married. So the last 3 years I've been, with my wife, whether in relationship or marriage. So for 1 year was when I'm consider myself somewhat of an expert, but talking from the perspective of I have learned. But a lot of it is it can be quite it's different. Before it was different. Again, I never say during that time I knew it all, because there's still things that I've said that I'm like, I'm backtracking on, that's not it. But a lot of it too, I sometimes generalize some of my answers, so it can be where it's applicable to any stage you're at.
So when your wife, how many years you got married?
2 years.
2 years. Okay, so I give you some advice on man. Hey, the advice is listen to whatever she says right now. But does she actually consult you or ask you certain things, or when you start giving your advice, be like, this ain't no consultation? Like, how's it work?
Well, the good thing about me and my wife checks me.
Oh,
and the good thing,
yeah, go ahead.
My wife checks me, and the good thing about our relationship is that, and the good thing about what I do is that I do everything from a honest perspective, because there's nothing I've ever written that I don't live, and if I haven't, I'm gonna kind of coin it in a way like, look, this is general advice,
right?
But my wife, when it comes to our relationship, we've always been upfront about anything. I don't think there's ever some kind of run in, because she's always like, she never said anything about the post. Now she does play around sometimes. Remember what you said? Remember what you said?
Right.
But I think a lot of it is that, unless it's like, even if we have a problem right now in our relationship, I wait till we get over it and we figure it out, then later on post about it, because I'm not, it's all about building and learning, and everything that I'm sharing, I always say I'm learning. It's me sharing the lessons I've learned from my mistakes.
Very nice.
So my writing, in terms of before, my wife asked me for advice, but not necessarily with me, concerning us, because when it comes to us, we sit down and we discuss and find a solution. So I don't know if that answers.
No, right answer the question. Pierre Jeanty on the Face to Beat show this Sunday morning. Are you talking about your writing? Let's talk about that first book that you put out.
Whew.
Yeah.
My first book that I put out, even till today, I'm still like, I'm polishing it up.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't know much about writing, man. I just wanted to write a book. Yeah. And I told you, I had a language barrier. I took a bunch of writing classes in college, and that wasn't enough. So now that I'm a better writer, I'm polishing it up. But my first book was Unspoken Feelings of a Gentleman.
Unspoken Feelings of a Gentleman.
So I've been writing for the guys since the beginning, because the whole idea that, my main brand is Gentlemenhood, right, aside from the poetry that I do, but Gentlemenhood, I created it because I was tired of how men are portrayed as the bad guy. Yeah. Now there is, there are some bad guys out there, but it was just like, I was watching Tyler Perry movies on my downtown, and I was like, whoa, this is unfair. Yeah. So I started the whole brand Gentlemenhood, and then the internet is full with content just for women and nothing good for men. Yeah. Besides sports and things like that.
How did the community or the world accept that first book?
They accepted it.
Okay.
Not necessarily men.
Yeah. But
because
women did.
what happened, a lot of women accepted it because the whole idea was expressing, being open, emotionally and expressing your feelings and how important that is to a healthy relationship. So I was pretty much, the whole. It's just like an autobiography through my journey of how me not being open enough, me thinking that feelings are weakness, signs of weakness and things like that. So I walked through the journey of my, how much it failed me throughout my life, and what I'm learning to be a man now, to open up and actually, whether I need to cry, not cry for any stupid thing, but whether I need to cry, how's that comfortable, kind of going against the idea of manhood that society, let's say, maybe sometime even in hip hop culture portray.
Right.
But so when I put that book out, a lot of women read it and they love it. I had a lot of celebrities who picked it up, and they're like,
celebrities like
I could drop names. Well, I could drop one. I could just name one that I know is perfectly fine with it. Michelle Williams.
Okay, very nice.
She's supported. She's been supportive since day one. And I had a gospel artist, H.E.R, and I have a few other people.
The man. Go ahead.
But they received it, and it was more. They start understanding the person who they were with or is with, and things like that. Because then it's like I'm voicing things men don't voice.
All right, and then that. Was it the second book, the H.E.R to?
Well, actually, I could give you the whole run through.
Give me the run through.
I am 8 books in.
You 8 books down.
So after Unspoken Feelings of a Gentleman, and I did a tour, and most women were like, okay, we understand a little bit more about men because of this. And most men were like, this is relatable. But there's nothing for women.
Before you even don't even do the rundown. Talk about that book, the one that went boom. I've arrived with the most successful book that's leading up to where you are now. What was the book that put you out there?
Oh, the book the Unspoken Feelings, I did a lot of legwork, but H.E.R, the book that I have, which is a small, it's a quotes, poetic quote somewhat. Different people will classify it different. If you're looking for deep poetry, you're probably like, this is just quote. But, new generation, the modern kids, the millennials, a lot of them are more like, okay, this is my idea of poetry. It's relatable. It's expressing. It's expressing yourself. This is it. And this book of fire. Yeah, it's just simply just short sentiment. Because the idea of me creating this book is that I felt like a lot of women during Valentine's, if you're single, you don't have anyone giving you something, and a lot of women feel bad about that.
You're a player. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And a lot of women, being that I was writing both for men and women, a lot of women, I felt like it was an issue for them. So I decided, I used to do these Hallmark cards, handmade, custom made with Hallmark cards with nice things that, either boyfriend can give it to their girlfriend or she could give it to herself. So then I decided to put all of them in a book. And I thought about that in like January. And I'm like, put it together in like 2 weeks. I made it a book, and I thought of the name H.E.R.
Yeah. How did it just get out there? You know what I mean? Because like a lot of people may say, man, I want to write a book, right? But then like, I mean, we do have social media. Hey, get my book, check this book out. You got an Amazon, you can put it out yourself or whatever. But how does it grow that legwork?
Marketing. And that's why I say one of the things anything about any product, if you don't have the marketing, it's not going anywhere. It's more of like social media. I use it as a tool to market. It was like I'm everywhere. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Pinterest. I said Pinterest because I don't know too many guys who spend time on Pinterest.
You on Pinterest, bro?
Yeah, because I'm like,
I got my MySpace.
In my head,
Go ahead.
MySpace.
Go ahead.
I even had a Black Planet account.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm like, wherever I could market that book, I can put it. I'm gonna make sure I put it there. And I showed a lot of, and also kind of it. I wasn't one of those guys who just show you the cover of the book and that's it. I let people see excerpts from it and things like that, and they eventually grew. And what happened is that, again, that's another book celebrities caught win. But by that time, that's why I say Unspoken Feelings made the legwork, because you're talking about, by the time I released this book, I was 200,000 followers on Instagram, on Gentlemenhood, and I was like, 600,000 and on Facebook. So I had an audience per se. So when I released it and I took the poetry route, all the women who were tired of me telling them good things about men that they don't want to hear, all of them just were, finally you got something else we want to hear at all time. So
and
now
this is the H.E.R book.
Yeah,
Yes.
her book.
Yeah.
We actually just came from a Target.
Yeah.
It got into Target, and I self-published it. I mean, I'm still the publisher.
Wow.
And then we have the book in Target now. Just now, it's opening door for the other ones. Him is gonna be in Target.
So Pierre Jeanty on the Blessed Beats Face to Beat show this Sunday morning. What happens if you get? Well, I'm sure not even what happens. You've gotten writer's block before.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I used to.
Okay.
Now I say that used to, not because I'm cocky as a writer. One of the things that I built was consistency. I write every day. Mm-hmm. I write a post every day, and that's what saved me, because when I was still at my old job, I used to hide in the restroom to write because I don't have, they wouldn't let me use my phone like that. And when I quit my job, I wrote every day, and now it's become a habit.
And what would you do with these writings?
I would either save them or post them. And it's like right now.
On social media?
Social media. I'm always posting on social media. I post like 6 to 10 times a day, depending on what day.
We're gonna talk about that. All right, so this next book. This is the one that's coming right after the H.E.R book.
Yeah, this is him. It's coming right after H.E.R Volume 2.
Volume 2, right.
Yeah.
Okay. What made you say this book here, the H.E.R book, is doing great numbers, right? It's getting out there. You got the audience, boom. What makes you go, I got to sit down on?
Going back to my voice.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was, when I first started the writing and everything that I'm doing now is to write for men and help them, see that there are good men out there and give men a voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, H.E.R took off, and I did not want to fall into the whole, there's a bunch of experts and poets who the whole idea is, belittle men and uplift women. Right. I didn't want to fall into that. I'm like, if you look at my content from before, it's been for men. Also consider women. I'm trying to. It's a healthy balance. Right. So when H.E.R was there, I'm like, I have to put him out. And that's why I wrote it because now I have the women's attention. I have their attention. They know I'm here to empower them and so forth. And now I said, look, there are good men here, and this is what the things that they're hurting. They feel there's all these things about them as well. So now my audience trusts me to present that because they know I've cared and written for them as women. So now when I'm introducing men, it's more like, oh, he's not just throwing random stuff at us. So that's why, I keep it balanced. Unspoken Feelings of a Gentleman, I wrote to the women I once loved. You got H.E.R and H.E.R too, you got him. And obviously there's going to be a him too. And that's plenty. It's just keeping a healthy balance.
Okay, I'm holding the book for people that's listening on 93.7 The Beat. This is Face to Beat show. It's the Blessed Beat show, Blessed Beats edition. And if you're looking at it on YouTube, it's the him book. Let's talk about what kind of stuff is in the book.
What kind of stuff? All kind of stuff. Things we've dealt with. And I think it's a more of message that men would like women to know about them. It's like one of the ones that I talk about is, as a husband, how sometimes men think, being providers, to them, that's their way of expressing love, when women want the affection and reassurance and so forth. So when, I pretty much kind of, the whole idea of the poem is that some men, they know how to provide, how to secure their way of loving, but they know nothing about romanticism. Okay. So, there's all kind of different angles, whether, even women addressing some things for women, and how the guy leaves you, then you try to lure him back in, right. And then now he doesn't want to be the type of man you want him to be, and you fault him for that, when really you didn't set that foundation to start with, or you went back to the old thing. So it's all over the place, because I try to get single thoughts and then let it marinate, and you get an input, and that you get to break it down and think how you could apply it.
And what made you just make the cover just like this?
Because of H.E.R.
Yeah.
H.E.R is just like that.
This, it says H.E.R.
H.E.R, it just say H.E.R just like that.
Yeah. What gave you the idea? Just simple is better? Or?
To be honest, I like simplicity, man. Yeah. And that's one of the things I stick with those books, because the simplicity, sometimes people, especially now, people are tired. They have their mind wrapped up in life and things like that. Right. Now, some short message can get to them. And that's why quotes are popular. Yeah. I've seen the rise of just quotes through social media and so forth. And that's why it's popular, because sometimes they're not trying to dissect too much. Right. So some of the kids who consider this poetry is because it's a form of expression, right. But it's not too much for you to like spend 10 days trying to understand what the writer is saying. It's like, yo, this is what I'm saying, and consider it and apply it.
Okay. We're in an era of digital content, right? This is the paperback. I'm sure you have the e-copy or
of course.
Okay. So what is bigger for you? What moves more? The digital downloads or?
Believe it or not, I sell more prints than anything.
Really?
People would think that ebooks sell, but there's one of the things with the digital age is that Instagram came.
Right.
With Instagram got people taking pictures of their food.
Absolutely.
And then think about it.
No.
But
did it last night.
Yeah, you're like, what? I'm seeing your food. I don't know why I'm seeing your food, but it looks good. Enjoy it.
Right.
But that's what happened. That's what brought the sales with prints, because you have people are taking, they're buying this book and they're taking really beautiful pictures.
Right.
They're taking shots of what's in the book and posting it or sending it to their friends or sending it to their boyfriend or whatever it be. So because of that, print has become so much important. You're talking about her sold thousands of copies last year, and the ebooks didn't even touch that. Yeah. So
is there an audio version or no?
No, that is what I need to get on.
Really?
Because audio is very important. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that's why me and my wife were working on one. Yeah. Audio is important because not only I did my job by making it short where they could consume it fast. Now I got to make it where when they could multitask and they could grab it, because podcasts alone, I mean, I go through 4-5 of them a day while I'm doing what I need to do. Right. And people have told me, you got to get it on there. Yeah. And I think for my books for men, that's the first books that I'm going to get through there, because they're more focused on trying to read the book. And some of them just say, look, we aren't going to sit down. If you put it on audio, we'll listen though. Yeah.
Arthur Pierre Jeanty in the building. Social media, we were talking about social media. And you said it's very important, correct? When you first wake up in the morning, right? And you do your before you even brush your teeth, you reach over there, you check the phone, see what time it is.
That's right.
Right? And when you start going through your social media, what is Pierre's social media in order? Which ones do you go to? First, second, third? Because you on Pinterest, that better be last. But let's go.
Pinterest. I check. I don't even know when I check Pinterest from time to time.
What's first for you?
What's first has to be Instagram.
Instagram is first.
I check Instagram, and then I kind of peep my Facebook.
Yeah.
And then sometime Twitter and Pinterest, I check last. I mean, I started off Twitter, but again, a lot of the audience just moved
to Instagram.
But now I'm going back, because it wasn't until this last few months, I'm going back to Twitter because of the fact there's still an audience there, and there's almost no one to provide content for them, because everyone wants to move. Instagram.
I used to be a reporter at Fox. And so I was huge, I was huge on Twitter. Yeah. Right. And then I came back to radio, and Instagram is the thing. And now I'm growing Instagram, but my Twitter, I just now got back on Twitter. Man, that platform needs people now.
Yes, you know what I mean? That's it. You want to be that's where you want to be at.
So with your social media, are you ever just Pierre, the guy, or are you always the Arthur, the guy?
I'm always an author, and I think I separate the two. Okay. Because now that Pierre is a brand in a sense. Okay.
So you just don't show yourself on a 2-mile run on your Instagram.
No, I don't.
Yeah. They're not getting that side of you.
They don't need that, because one of the things that I've done good at separating, I have the Gentlemenhood, which is for men. I have the Pierre, who is poetry. You get in just those writings and the pictures of the books, and sometimes you get snippets of my life. But I have my own personal page where only people that I know are the ones who can see that, because I feel like I want to give them what they need. It's like, look, you need poetry. I mean, you come on this page, you're gonna get that, and you need content for men. Absolutely. In terms of relationships, solid wisdom. You go into Gentlemenhood. So I've been able to separate them, and you go to my Genius Publishing, you get everything about about my publishing company. I just feel like once you mix too much in, when you're branding, people don't know what your brand is about.
Pierre, look. What is your social media? What is your social media?
Social media?
Find you. People that are listening on 937B, what's your social media?
You can find me under Pierre Jeanty. Jeanty, Jeanty. You on Instagram, that's the name you find me under. On Facebook is Pierre Alex Jeanty, and Pierre is Pierre. Alex Jeanty, and then on Twitter it's Pierre A. Jeanty.
Okay.
And also when it comes to my Gentlemenhood, you can find it anywhere under the name Gentlemenhood.
Yeah.
But the E in there, the men is plural. It's not Genta MAN, it's MEN.
Okay.
Gentlemenhood. Yeah, I couldn't find it. No, everyone took Gentlemenhood before, and I was
it's
like,
Blessed Beats. The S was gone, so
you get whatever you can get.
All right, do me a favor. Look right there in that camera, man, and say it in the mic for those people that are listening why they need to go get this book here.
Go get that book there, because I think it's going to change your views about relationship, or it may even, just help in certain areas that it may be your blind side. But I believe it's a good content for men and women, and the title itself, I think, speak, and I think that's a good area of relationship that needs to be focused on.
On the radio, stay. The Blessed Beat Show is up next. You watching it on YouTube. I hope you get this behind the scenes thing, because I'm about to learn all of this pimp game from Pierre. But you're listening to the Face to Beat, the Blessed Beat Show. My name is Marcus Sullivan, at Marcus Sullivan Live on Instagram, and this is the all new 93.7 The Beat, H-Town's real hip hop, home of the Breakfast Club.